Aharen wa Hakarenai Season 2 Episode 3 is like stumbling into a cozy cafe on a rainy day, where every sip of comedy and warmth feels just right. As a longtime fan of this quirky rom-com, I found this episode to be a delightful blend of absurdity, heart, and the kind of humor that makes you chuckle long after the credits roll. The show's charm lies in its ability to take the mundane, like a hangout with siblings, and turn it into a whirlwind of misunderstandings and laughter. In this review, I'll explore the episode through several thematic lenses, from its narrative quirks to its visual flair, character dynamics, and emotional pull, all while sharing my personal reactions to what made me laugh, what didn't land, and why this episode kept me glued to my screen. The story of Episode 3 centers on Rado and Aharen spending time with their younger siblings, Aharen and Rado's little sister, following their chance meeting in the previous episode. I really appreciate how the show leans into this premise, using the siblings to amplify its signature blend of goofy misunderstandings and heartfelt moments. The episode kicks off with Rado's sister expressing curiosity about Aharen, while Eru's protective streak toward her sister adds a layer of comedic tension. The narrative isn't about grand stakes, and I think that's what makes it so endearing. It's just a day in the life of these weird, lovable characters, elevated by Rado's overactive imagination and Aharen's quiet unpredictability. I love how the episode explores the theme of sibling bonds without getting overly sappy. Rado's sister, with her inherited Rado gene of wild imagination, is a riot, and I found her tsundere moments, where she tries to play it cool but clearly adores her brother, absolutely charming. Eru, meanwhile, brings a fierce but misguided protectiveness, which leads to hilarious scenarios like her suspecting Rado of being a bad influence. I think the show nails the balance of showing how siblings can be both rivals and allies. However, I didn't like how the episode occasionally leaned too heavily on Rado's delusions, like when he imagines Eru plotting against him in increasingly bizarre ways. While his paranoia is a core part of the humor, I personally don't understand why it needed to dominate so much of the runtime. A bit more focus on the group dynamic could have made the episode feel more cohesive. That said, I'm not against the show's reliance on misunderstandings. It's the heart of Aharen's comedy. The way Rado misinterprets Eru's actions, only to have it clarified in the most anticlimactic way, had me laughing out loud. I also anticipate that the sibling dynamic will continue to evolve, maybe even bringing Ran, Aharen's younger brother, into the mix for more chaos. My only gripe is that the episode's pacing felt a tad uneven. The final hangout scene, where the four characters bond over a silly game, was heartwarming, but I think it wrapped up too quickly. I wanted more of that warm, chaotic energy before the credits rolled. Visually, Aharen wa Hakarenai Season 2 continues to impress with its clean, colorful aesthetic, and Episode 3 is no slouch. Felix Film's animation captures the characters' deadpan expressions and exaggerated reactions with precision, making every comedic beat land. I really liked the vibrant school and park settings, which feel alive without overshadowing the characters. The scene where Rado's sister and Eru face off, with dramatic close-ups and a mock-serious color palette, was a visual highlight. It felt like a showdown in a shonen anime, which perfectly matched the show's absurd tone. I think the animators deserve props for knowing exactly when to dial up the silliness and when to keep things subtle. The heart of Aharen lies in its characters, and Episode 3 shines by putting Rado, Aharen, and their siblings front and center. Rado remains the comedic engine, and I love how his wild imagination drives the episode's humor. His stone-faced delivery of outlandish theories, like assuming Eru is a secret agent, never gets old, and I think Takuma Tereshima's voice acting adds the perfect deadpan flair. Aharen, meanwhile, is her usual enigmatic self, and I really appreciate how her subtle actions, like quietly cheering on her sister, speak volumes about her care for others. Inori Maine's soft, understated performance makes every Aharen moment feel special. The siblings steal the show, though. Rado's sister, with her mix of snark and hidden affection, is a fantastic addition, and I found her attempts to investigate Aharen both hilarious and relatable. Eru, voiced with fiery energy by Yuri Kozakai, brings a new dynamic with her overprotective antics, and I think her clashes with Rado's sister are comedy gold. The way the show pairs these two as foils, both fiercely loyal but in totally different ways, kept me hooked. However, I'm against the idea that every interaction needs to escalate into a misunderstanding. I didn't like how Eru's hostility toward Rado felt a bit repetitive by the episode's midpoint. I think a moment of genuine connection between them could have added more depth to Aharen-san, while Hakarenai has always excelled at blending humor with heart. And episode 3 delivers a surprisingly touching look at family and friendship. The final scene, where the group plays a silly game together, hit me right in the feels. It's not a dramatic moment, but I found the quiet joy of seeing Rado and Aharen bond with their siblings incredibly uplifting. I think the show's strength is its ability to make these small moments feel profound, reminding us that connection doesn't need grand gestures, just shared laughter and understanding. I also really liked how the episode subtly explores Rado and Aharen's relationship. They're a couple now, but I appreciate that the show doesn't lean too heavily on romance. Their dynamic feels like best friends who happen to be in love, and I think that's what makes them so endearing. The little blush Aharen gives when Rado calls her his girlfriend was a perfect touch, subtle but powerful. However, I didn't like how the episode sidestepped any deeper exploration of Eru's feelings about Rado. Her protectiveness hints at insecurity, and I personally don't understand why the show didn't give her a moment to open up. A brief heart-to-heart could have added another layer to the story. The episode's humor, driven by Rado's delusions, is both its strength and its occasional weakness. I really liked the callback to episode 2's Animal Crossing/Yakuza parody, with Rado's imagination turning a simple sibling outing into a spy thriller. It's absurd in the best way, and I think it's what sets the show apart from other slice-of-life comedies. However, I'm against the idea that every joke needs to be a massive escalation. Some of the quieter moments, like Aharen's deadpan reactions to Eru's antics, were just as funny, and I think the show could lean more into that subtle humor. I also didn't like how some gags, like Rado's drunk misunderstanding from episode 2, were referenced without much payoff. I personally don't understand why the show didn't tie those threads together more cleanly. Aharen-san, while Hakarenai Season 2 Episode 3 is a testament to the show's ability to turn everyday moments into comedic gold. I love how it balances sibling chaos with the quiet charm of Rado and Aharen's relationship, all wrapped in vibrant animation and sharp humor. The focus on Eru and Rado's sister added fresh energy, and I think their dynamic is one of the episode's biggest strengths. That said, I didn't like the over-reliance on Rado's delusions at times, and I think a tighter pace and deeper character moments could have made it even stronger. If you're looking for a show that feels like a hug from a weird, lovable friend, Episode 3 delivers. I'm already counting down to the next installment, and I hope you're as charmed by this quirky crew as I am.